I am told that we are live. Thanks, everyone. Sorry for the slight internet-related interruption. We were reading out public questions before the internet bailed on us. Vilma, would you like to start again from what you were reading before?
I'll start from the question from Maureen Mace, which I think may have been interrupted by the internet, so I will start from the beginning of that. It reads as follows. A. Woodhead Drive will be used as a base for the contractors when Milton Road is constructed. Could you ensure that a footpath and cycleway remain between Milton Road and Woodhead Drive? This is the main route for school children from East Chesterton over the pedestrian crossing to the rear of North Cambridge Academy, through the car-free zone of Downham's Lane. This route is also a well-used cut-through by residents in the Woodhead Drive and Arbury areas, to cycle and walk to local shops, the pub, the post office, the science park, business centre and Cambridge North. B. At the Joint Assembly, I asked if there will be advertising displays on the new bus shelters, as one was awaiting approval by the Planning Authority. Mr. Blake's answer was that he would be in discussion regarding this with the Planning Authority. The advertising on this particular bus shelter has since been removed. Thank you. Can you confirm that there will be no digital or any other advertising on any of the new glass bus shelters anywhere along Milton Road after the reconstruction, including in front of both sets of shops? Not only is digital advertising very distracting, but any advertising stands will block views of residents exiting for their drives. The next question is from Charles Nisbet, Chairman of the Milton Road Residents Committee. If all goes according to plan, once the reconstruction works on Milton Road are completed, there will be attractive grass verges, swales along much of the road. Unfortunately, it will not be long before the large lorries and delivery vans find it convenient to park on these verges while delivering to the properties on the road, and much of the good work will be undone. Would the board therefore please direct the relevant officers to ensure that some form of physical barriers to inhibit parking on the verges are included in the detailed plans, for example, high curbs and substantial short wooden boundary posts, and investigate the possibility of legally enforceable penalties for parking on such verges, including the cost of making good any damage. The next question is from Rosalind Lund, Chair of the Arbury Road East Residents Association. In our view, Milton Road Local Liaison Forum looks likely to be the most appropriate vehicle to ensure that residents of Milton Road and adjoining streets are kept regularly informed of progress on the road so that problems are dealt with quickly and effectively. Arbury Road East Residents Association came into existence after the LLF was set up. We therefore ask that ARERA be treated as a full member of the LLF for the duration of the project, and that communications between the contractors and residents are facilitated through the chair and secretary of ARERA whenever issues will impact on residents come up. For example, road closures. As well as residents, we include a number of traders on Arbury among our members. If for any reason the LLF is discontinued, please ensure that the contractors deal directly with all three local residents associations, including ourselves. The next question is from Dr. Susan Jackson, who is a committee member of the Windsor Road Residents Association. The present signalling system at the Huntingdon Road junction has not yet been repaired, and this is already leading to unnecessary queuing both along Histon and Huntingdon Road, with increased air pollution before traffic can move forward to Castle Street and Mount Pleasant. We join with others in asking that the damaged loop be repaired before the diversions from the Milton Road start in April and May. And the final question I'm reading on this item is from CamCycle. The Milton Road project has been a case of the good, the bad and the ugly. First, the good. The project team worked well with the community to design a tree-lined road that will be a genuine improvement for everyone living, working or passing through along most of its length. The bad, north of Lovell Road, the designers have shoehorned in a bus lane, cutting to the bone the space for active travel. They needed extra land to make the bus lane fit, but they didn't get it. Instead of reversing the decision to extend the bus lane, they've chosen to prioritise bus company convenience ahead of people's safety, like the fiasco in Histon Road. When the land negotiation failed and the extended bus lane conflicted with the necessary safe space for walking and cycling, Why didn't you choose safety? How will you fix this? The ugly. During during construction, everyone walking and cycling will be jammed into the narrow northwestern pavement. This will be very hard, especially for the numerous families that currently walk or cycle their kids to school here. Will you instruct the officers to work out a construction plan that has more space for walking and cycling, and how? It's not enough to say some cyclists will mix with motor traffic. If the usual number of cars tries to push through the work zone, junctions like Arbury Road will be gridlocked. We've recommended convening a working group to find traffic reduction measures, but the project team has resisted this so far. It's a pity. The Milton Road design worked well because of successful collaboration between residents, stakeholders and the GCP. Why is the GCP now afraid of such collaboration with local residents associations and stakeholders, which has worked so well before? How will you fix this?
Thank you very much, Vilma. So before we have answers, I believe there are some people talking to us.
Yes, Chair, Councillor.
Sort of live, sort of not.
Councillor Scott has a
Councillor
question.
Scott, would you like to come forward now? And then
Thank you. I appreciate being able to be here and speak. There are just three brief, I hope, questions that I'd like to raise, and then subsequently, after other matters, I'll give the report on the local liaison forum. The three issues are public art, the position of the construction compound during construction, and parking mitigation. On public art, there was from the outset an undertaking that public art would be included in the Milton Road project in the design, and therefore I just request that the Greater Cambridge Partnership Executive Board confirm that undertaking, and that there be collaboration with local artists. I'm having a meeting on Monday with some of the local artists who are actually resident in the area, and we'd appreciate that an amount be set aside after collaboration with local artists. So that's public art. Secondly, the construction compound. People who live on Woodhead Drive, Woodhead Drive, are concerned because that's where the construction compound will be located, and they have requested that consideration be given to land on Cowley Road being used as an alternative compound. My colleague, Councillor Sargent, I pay tribute to because he's been investigating this as well as myself, and we'd like consideration being given to that. If that is not possible, I understand that the relevant land may be taken up until April, but there may be some leeway there. But if the compound is on Woodhead Drive, we're concerned about Woodhead Drive being cut off. There was a very unfortunate death of a young woman who was a cyclist on Downham's Lane coming out into Milton Road, and the least pressure there can be put on that intersection, the better. And also there's the question of access of utility vehicles, emergency vehicles and so on. So we do request that attention be paid by the Greater Cambridge Partnership Board to the issue of the compound. And then the third issue, and I know that, and I pay tribute to Councillor Bick, who will, as Chair of the Assembly, and has raised this in his report, and he will emphasise it too, just that there has been an undertaking from the outset that parking mitigation would be a part of this project. And we're very aware that the Greater Cambridge Partnership wants to look at parking over the whole of Cambridge. We understand that, we support it. At the same time, these residents do require specific attention to parking in that area, both during construction and in the final analysis, because parking will be removed from Milton Road, and therefore the pressure already in that area will be impacted. There are residents on the roundabout area where Elizabeth Way intersects with Milton Road, and they'll be entirely deprived of parking. So I do just request that the board restate the undertaking that parking mitigation and thus residents parking will be able to be properly considered in accordance with the existing requirements in the context of Milton Road, because in terms of the overall aim of the Greater Cambridge Partnership for parking overall, it won't be impeded by having this residents parking scheme go ahead. The Romsey scheme's going ahead.
Thank you,
This can
Jocelyn.
go
I
ahead.
think-
Yes, thank you. And without any impact negatively on the overall scheme. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much indeed for that question, Jocelyn. We will have you back in just a moment. But before we do that, Wilma, you're reading something on behalf of Councillor Payne.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Chair. The question from Councillor Payne reads as follows. The proposed nighttime diversion for Milton Road is likely to move additional traffic onto Huntingdon Road, Castle Street and Mount Pleasant, as well as sending extra traffic down Histon Road. The traffic lights at Huntingdon, Histon, Victoria, Mount Pleasant Junction have been poorly phased since the redevelopment of Histon Road due to a damaged sensor sunk under the tarmac. This was due to be repaired over Christmas, but no action seems to have been taken. This is causing long queues of traffic in all directions at this junction, as well as noise and air pollution. Given the likelihood of increased traffic during the nighttime diversion route, it is really imperative that this sensor is fixed so that the lights work properly. This request was supported by the West and Central Area Committee, including city and county councillors for the area, in their March meeting. Will the GCP Executive Board do all they can to ensure this sensor is fixed and the junction is functioning well before the nighttime diversions on Milton Road begin?
Thank you very much for that, Wilma. Now, according to my notes, we should have Councillor DL here with us. Is he here? To ask a question as well. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, hello.
Would you like to go ahead?
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes, I think.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you for letting me also join the meeting. I guess, first of all, with this opportunity, I'd just like to actually welcome the report and the design proposals. As has been mentioned by others, there is a lot good in this project, and I think what we are seeing is something that will really bring tangible benefits to all of our community, and not just sort of leave a traffic corridor. So yeah, excellent. And I think this has very much come from the very active and constructive engagement from across our community, but also the way that that's been embraced by the project team led by Paul van der Bulk. So I'd like to sort of mark my thanks in that regard. I do have a couple of questions, and probably illustrated on page 81 of the report pack, actually. And this covers, well, two areas that I don't think have been picked up by the other questions that have been raised today. One regards the impacts on some of our local businesses. So along Milton Road, we have a number of very highly valued community businesses. And depending on when the disruption occurs around their premises, could have a really big impact on the sort of financial losses that they take through the construction. In particular, I think around the sort of area around Union Lane and Albury Road, there's a community of shops there. Some of those shops have very seasonal businesses which very much depend on the trade in December. So if there was construction around that area at that time, I could see it causing much more problems than, say, if it was in January and February. And I wondered if there was any scope within the within our work with Milestone to try and ensure that that is taken into account, despite obviously the many challenges of such a complex project. I also like to sort of just raise the potential safety issues that could occur, not just on Milton Road, but in the surrounding areas. So in particular, I think area C in the plans on page 81, there's when there is major disruption between the Hurst Park and Albury Road junctions, I think there's quite a high risk that there will be a lot of rat running going into the Hurst Park estate, and that's a very important sort of route for our local schools and local families. And if there's a lot of traffic there, I do worry about how we would mitigate those safety risks. If those, well, one, is there any steps in place to actually try and mitigate that already? I've not seen that so far. If not, if we do start to see a real sort of danger emerge, what will be the steps that we can take to sort of quickly try and rectify that to keep people safe? I think finally that does all link to, and I think Councillor Scott, as our chair, may also have comments on this. Just the importance of continuing to really engage with the local liaison forum. I think so far it's had a really valuable input into the project, and therefore I would strongly recommend that we do try and ensure that Milestone are instructed to try and keep the that channel of communication open, and to try and harness the knowledge and skills that have already been shown over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jamie. Thank you. Now, before we go on to answers, I think we've got Jocelyn again. She is speaking in her capacity as the chair of the LLF. Now, we don't have a huge amount of time, so I beg you to be concise. Thank you, Jocelyn.
I can assure you that I am always concise. Thank you. What I'd like to do is to pay tribute to all those who from the outset worked so hard to bring the Milton Road project to the stage it's at now, the beginning of construction, and that is the 3 residents' associations who are on the local liaison forum: Old Chesterton Residents Association, Hurst Park Estate Residents Association, and Milton Road Residents Association, who are there in conjunction with the terms of reference. Also to all the councillors that have been involved, county councillors from Castle, Arbury, Chesterton and Kings Hedges, and the city councillors Kings Hedges, West Chesterton and East Chesterton, and then to the design consultants, and particularly to Peter Blake and to Paul Vandenbalk, and to those who came before, because it's been a very long project, really from 2014 or thereabouts. And I pay tribute also to Councillor Lewis Herbert, who had a huge impact on ensuring that the Greater Cambridge Partnership and this project in particular worked well. I do just want to make a couple of points, if I may, that we accept absolutely that the day-to-day running of the construction is properly to be, the residents can contact Milestone. The communications were set out very clearly by David Charlesworth at the most recent local liaison forum meeting, and we thank him for that. We would like to see a very clear recitation of the road as the construction will progress. We do understand that things can't be set in concrete, that in terms of how the construction runs and the time frame, there may be some changes or tweaking along the way, but a general indication of when there'll be activity, for example, at the King's Hedges end, when there'll be activity around the roundabout at Highworth Avenue, for example, when there'll be activity in Arbury Road. And here I do want to say about Arbury Road, we would really appreciate signage about HGVs which are going up that road and causing problems, and if we could have signage at the Histon Road end, we'd appreciate that. I'll just conclude by saying this, if I may. We do see that the Greater Cambridge Partnership is taking a different approach now in terms of overall larger projects. However, the Milton Road project and the Histon Road project have worked well in the way they have because of the local liaison forum, and therefore I would hope that the Greater Cambridge Partnership would support the continuation of the local liaison forum in this regard, not the day-to-day, but only if some large issue arises where it is necessary to get everybody together, then that process can happen. And the final point, on Monday the 21st at 6:30 p.m, there will be a meeting that, thank you to the Greater Cambridge Partnership for providing the link, and thank you also to Paul Vandenbroek and James Hostler for agreeing to come to it, to explain to residents in the Elizabeth area, which is Herbert Street, George Street, Chesterton Hall Crescent, Hawthorne Way, etc., and those in the Hurst Park area estate, and those in the Asham residence parking estate, where we'll look at the nuts and bolts of residence parking, and also what will happen during construction in terms of delivery vehicles and in terms of visitor parking and so on during the construction. I thank therefore the Greater Cambridge Partnership for that meeting, 6:30, 21st, that's this coming Monday, and to the Greater Cambridge Partnership for all the support that's been given, and of course to the residents who have been so impressive in terms of ensuring that this project can go ahead to this stage, and we hope for the ultimate construction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Scott. That was very concise. Now, I believe we've got quite a lot for Peter to answer. Would you like to have a go? You can't have until tomorrow, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I'll do my best. So in terms of Lillian Rumblad's question, so we are looking to install the 20-mile-an-hour speed signage in the coming period, and we're targeting implementation before construction commences on Milton Road. We're also in discussions with county colleagues regarding the speed camera on Histon Road and whether it can be recommissioned, or if not, what alternatives would be required. In terms of the question from Maureen Mace, it is not planned to close the route between Woodhead Drive and Milton Road to pedestrians and cyclists during construction. We will ensure, the project team will ensure that access is maintained throughout the construction period. In terms of a question on bus shelters, the bus shelters are not designed to include advertising panels or to contain digital advertising. And so when we complete the project, there will be no digital advertising on those bus shelters when the project is finished. Charles Nesbitt's question. So we are not proposing to put barriers on the physical barriers on the road, but we are sensitive to the questions around loading restrictions and how that could be, how appropriate that is and how that could be enforced. And that will form part of the traffic regulation order consultation that will take place during the construction period as to whether it's just double yellow lines or actually there's a loading ban as well on some or indeed all of Milton Road as we take that forward. In terms of Rosalind Lunn's question, the project team will be setting up direct lines of communication with the 3 residents associations, including ARERA. Now, there was a couple of questions on the junction at Huntingdon Road. So Dr. Susan Jackson was asking about the sensor. The sensor has been broken. It's been taking some time actually to get the road space to put the to fix the sensor and put it right. But I'm confident that within the next fortnight that work will be undertaken and the problem will be resolved. We've also working with the County Council Signals team just to undertake a small piece of work to monitor the flows at that junction and make sure that we've got the required optimizations on all the linkages and all the parts of the flow of that junction. In terms of Councillor Scott's questions, so we have agreed a sum of money for the public art project, and we'll be working with the residents associations to define and to deliver this. She's right when she says the contractors identified Woodhead Drive as the most suitable place to locate the office and storage, but we are in discussions as to whether Cowley Road is a possibility. We have heard of the issues that have been raised, and we're looking at that as a possibility. And then she raised, I think, advertised very well the public meeting on parking that will take place next week as the starting point of reviewing the parking arrangements on Milton Road. Turning to Matthew Danish's questions, a number of points. So the area north of Lovell Road, the designers continue to work on adjusting the curb line to reduce the narrowing of the footway and cycleway at that point. We do not intend to shorten this stretch of busway. The board will